got you. It's okay. I got you. Yes. Of course, while I'm trying to set up going live, you decide you want to come up for attention. You gonna say hello, doctor? With the TARDIS behind you? Yeah. You gonna say hello, doctor? No? You're not gonna say hello? You have fans, dear. You seriously have fans. Oh, really? You want them to send you toys? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I know what toy I want for you, but I can't find one. You need a kicker toy. Something longer than 6 inches long, like that little fish. Because the fish is dying. And it's not long enough for your big old body. So that was the doctor. Oh, look, I'm tilted up too far. I just thought, since I'm up at the ungodly hour of like dawn, it's not dawn now, but I was up at dawn. I'm a night owl. What's wrong with this picture? So I thought I'd just, for the heck of it, go live, see who else is awake while I play with my new toy. Thanks to Miranda. Hello, Dolores. I finally found a Rolodex. And it came in the mail. So now I get to play with it. Oh, yeah, it's really strange to me to be up at this hour when I spent 6 years working at Wawa night shift and I'd be coming home and, be home at 6 a.m. instead of waking up at 6 a.m., which is surprising considering I didn't go to bed until 3. So I definitely see a nap in my future. Yeah, isn't it cool? I have been searching for a Rolodex. Now, I noticed some of the cards in here are too big because they're actually taller than the little piece with the letters in it. But that can be adjusted so you can actually see them. Because come here, you. So you can see there's two sizes of cards. There's the normal size that should be in here, and then these taller ones. But pair of scissors will fix that. Oh, hi, Roxana. Oh, yeah, I love Heartland Picker. He used to be Lego Man of the Midwest. Because I think when Brandon started, he started off selling, Legos. And that was his specialty. But he knows, for a young guy who's in college, he knows a heck of a lot about jewelry. So, but he's like me. He doesn't get a chance to do stuff until late. And now that he's in his first year of college, he's having a hard time finding time for sales. I do want to. I think I could throw that out. That's from the previous owner. I do want to try to get him on one of my live sales. And now that I'm back to being at 11 o'clock at night on Thursdays, Eastern time, I might be able to get him on. I know. Who am I and what did I do with Nancy? I'll tell you, Doug, I don't know what's wrong with me. I slept 3 hours and then I'm wide awake and I'm like, what evil magic is this, right? This is wrong. This is just wrong, Doug. It's just wrong. I should not by any means be awake at this point. So I thought, let me see who else is here, who else is awake. And I know, some of you guys I only ever see in chats, so I see Dolores. I catch Dolores sometimes. Sometimes I get to see Miss Damn Jewelry because sometimes I'll catch Daniel's lives, but not often. Yeah. I don't know. I just, well, thank you, Dolores. Oh, Suzanne, it's the first time you'd seen my live sale. Awesome. Well, I hope you subscribed. I'll take new subscribers any day. Because, it helps. And I always tell my new subscribers, make sure you hit the notification bell, but set it for all notifications because I'm kind of iffy on when I get videos out, partly because of physical limitations. Oh, I found more plastic pieces. Um, I still do have a pinched nerve, and I saw the doctor on Tuesday, not my cat, the actual doctor, medical doctor. And yeah, traction did cause some hernias. Oh joy, oh rapture, oh crap. Um, not the first ones I've had, so I'll get them dealt with. So, come out of there. Get all these larger cards out so I can trim them down. So, hey, Nancy Smith, the other Nancy's here. Look, that early in the morning and Newton's Cupboard already had to retract a message. Darling, did you not have coffee yet? Oh my. Yeah, I know. I'm surprising everybody by being up this early. Surprising me most of all. And it's not like the cat even climbed on me or anything. I came downstairs and she was asleep in her tower, her one and only little short tower. You spelled morning wrong. Okay, I think I got, yeah, I got all the, oh, there's some dust in this thing. My new toy for those who just got here. I have been looking for a Rolodex that was one of these old school round ones that just kind of have that, you know, early mod kind of look. So I finally found one thanks to Miranda. Miranda's the young lady that, man, she has some of the broadest spectrum of stuff. Her channel's called the Rehomer, and she could sometimes have the most amazing vintage things, and sometimes she doesn't know what she's got. But I do that too. But then she'll have like she was somewhere and she picked up a bunch of vintage office supplies, and I was surprised. Like the thing to hold, remember, not the big floppy disks, but the little hard disks. She had a thing that held those, and it had blank ones in it because it had a couple of things packs that were still sealed. And boy, some guy snapped them right up, and then I got the Rolodex because I was determined to get the Rolodex. And so I had to fight for him for it, but I need it. And I needed one that's compact like this. I don't need one of those long suckers. Other times she'll have things that are made out of rocks that are carved or jewelry pieces, rocks or crystals, and just quite an interesting mix with her. Basically, she picks up anything she thinks is cool, which is fine. I mean, there's such a big gamut of people in the reseller community, and the reseller community itself is huge. It's not just the vintage ones like us. It's also people that pick up just jewelry. There's some that specialize in plush or toys or just do retail arbitrage or do just help you through dealing with eBay or Etsy. And it's just a huge, huge variety in the reseller world. And I got a foot in at least three of those, three of those worlds. Oh God, that tea is interesting. So somebody sent me, and they didn't say who they were, a Twinings English breakfast, but it's which I love, but it's English breakfast bold, and that's a potent cup of tea. Very potent cup of tea. So not quite used to that one. Oh, oh yeah, it is fun to see all the different stuff. Dolores, though, I think you usually have small stuff, and I can understand why, considering your shipping from England can't be cheap. Lord knows shipping to Fiona in Singapore is not. Bless her heart. She is amazing that she buys stuff, and I had agreed to well, she was very sweet, and she hired me to be her clearinghouse. So everybody in the States sends the stuff for her to me, and then, well, I realize I'm shaking the table. And then I repack it, and then I'll send a bigger box to her, so that way it saves her on shipping. Look, am I being like anal retentive, sorting out all the colors? Oh, look, orange ones. Not a big orange fan. So it does help her though, because shipping to Singapore, you don't want a million little things. So yeah, small items are fun. Somebody had whose video did I watch yesterday? I saw a video on Crazy Lamp Lady. She's been doing these videos to show what things sold for. Now, keep in mind, she has a massive amount of fires of subscribers. She is in a league all her own, because she's got so many subscribers. And she found this teeny tiny, it's like an inch high, made of glass kangaroo. And I'd never seen like a micro mini that kind of tiny handmade glass creature. And it really nicely detailed too. They did a beautiful job. They don't make this one anymore. Now I had to peel a sticker off of this one. Somebody had an Apple sticker. I had one of these, and it had a carabiner on it, which is a type of hook that they use in rock climbing, but we use them in camping all the time. And I forgot it and left it at work. And then 2 days later, when I had gotten back to work, my mug had disappeared. Now, everybody there knows it was mine. But the temporary manager we had said, well, I didn't know whose it was, and it shouldn't have been left here anyway. And she threw it out. They don't make this size anymore. They make ones without a handle, or they make this big giant one that's like really top heavy. And I saw this at Goodwill last week, so I bought it because this is small enough. I can hook a carabiner on it, and at summer camp, I can hook this to my belt loop, because that way I've always got my mug with me, because most places, if you go at a Boy Scout summer camp, most of the camps, at every place that there is a merit badge being taught, there's access to water, because it's a camp and kids don't always think to drink, and they got to keep them hydrated. There's something running around in the sunlight, so I keep my mug with me. That, and there's always somewhere for Scoutmasters to get hot water, so I can always get my tea. It's the only thing that's a requirement for summer camp. Just in case, they always take a camp stove, just so I can have hot water at camp if I can't get access to hot water at summer camp. But usually you can. Once you go in and tell them. Some places they'll set up coffee, and you have to ask them. So you're near Vegas, Suzanne? Okay, so I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in the southeastern corner. I'm on the very edge of a city called Chester, which was settled. I don't know, when did William Penn come over? Penn's Landing is not in Philadelphia. It's actually in Chester. So whenever he got here, that's when Chester was settled, because he's the one that settled it. Flip these over and see what I can do here. How do I want to do this? Actually, no, I think I need a colored one in front of the label thing. Maybe one behind it. So, yeah, I'm if you're along that I-95 corridor, Trexler's gonna close. Oh, Damn, I haven't been there yet. Darn, that's not good. Trexler's not that far away. Yeah, they're gonna be looking at selling off a lot of camps, I'm sure. We're annoyed in Cradle of Liberty Council. There's a lot of us annoyed because the Boy Scouts they've got 3 in a row. They have Camp Heart, which is all Cub Scouts, and then they have next to it is Garrison, which is also Cub Scouts only. Boy Scouts can't even use that one. We're not allowed to. So then they have Delmont, which they basically they beat the crap out of it by overuse. And then in the early 90s, they closed it, saying they would let it go fallow and let the land regenerate itself. That was, I think, 90, 91. It's still closed. They have a training center. That little area is the only part they use. They, for the most part, and everything's there. There's a beautiful big dining hall. There's a lake. There's campsite, but it's all just gone wild again. They don't use it. And they've had donations earmarked just to take care of the place. And they say, oh, it's losing money because we don't use it. And instead, up around Allentown, they have Ressica Falls, and they're sinking a ton of money into that, making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're doing the same thing to Ressica that they did years ago to Belmont. And they're losing money because Ressica, they used to back in the day, they used to close Ressica and open it up to hunting because there's bears and turkey and deer and it's become an issue because it hasn't had anybody hunting on that mountain in a long time, and now all those creatures are getting to be so many. They're coming into camp while there's kids in, and that could be a problem. So we'll see how long that works. I don't know. I think that's gonna be an issue, a big issue. So, but they actually have a place up there called Trooper Lodge, which was specifically, well, this has to go this way, specifically built by people who were, they were state troopers, and they built it just so they could go up and they would rent it for a month and hunt up there, and they'd hunt bear. I don't want to hunt a bear. Bears, bears are just no. I don't want to do that. So, yeah, it's a scout camp. For those of you that don't know, I'm an assistant scoutmaster with Boy Scouts of America. Did I do this right? What am I doing here? There we go. And I actually have to remember I have a kid I need to email today. I have to look up his records. He needs to know when he became one of his ranks because he's doing his Eagle Scout paperwork. Yay, another Eagle. Another Eagle. My kid was, the troop we're in started in 1952, and my son is their 116th Eagle Scout. Now, Mike's 27 now. So I don't know what number of Eagle Scout we're up to now. I need to make a new tab. For some reason, the tab for letter E is empty. So I need to make a new tab. And since I need to cut some of these down, I'll just use the top from one of these. That makes sense. Yeah, Trexler's in Kunkletown. I know of it. I have not been to that one yet. And if we don't hurry up, I might not make it. It took a long time for us to get to where we're going to Camp Mincy. And it sucks because I've wanted to go there for so long and do the mud hike. And now I physically won't be able to do it because we can't trust my spine to behave. Now, is Karen Lotta, is she in Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts? Well, we're not allowed to. There was a legal challenge about calling them girls, but we can refer to Girl Scouts when we're talking about the Girl Scouts organization, but we now have to call all of our scouts because we're not allowed to refer to the girls as Girl Scouts in case there's confusion, because somebody believes that people can't figure it out. I mean, I could get it in the paperwork. I get that, and in the advertising. That I completely understand. So, I was a brownie. I remember being a brownie. And I was a Girl Scout for a year and hated it. Hated it with a passion. Here's why. I had Girl Scout leaders that were more interested in getting together and playing poker and drinking beer and telling us in the evenings that, well, you have to stay in your cabins and not let us do anything. I hated it. We weren't allowed because the only reason that it was in there was because the one woman wanted to get her daughter through to the highest rank. And then as soon as she did, she quit. No warning, didn't tell anybody, she just quit. And so they ended up with no leader, and they struggled on after that. But I was like, what do you mean we can't do archery, we can't do riflery, you don't want to go camping unless it's a cabin. So I think we only went camping 3 times in an entire year. And I was just so bored with that. So bored so fast. Because it just, to me, was, that's having grown up in a Boy Scout troop. To me, that's just like half the fun, is you get to do all this cool stuff. And she didn't want any parts of it. And so I lasted a year. And then somebody we knew from Boy Scouts, because at that point too, my family still was running the local Boy Scout troop. And my dad had been a scoutmaster, and he'd been an assistant scoutmaster for years. And then one of my brothers became scoutmaster of that troop. And he ran it for as long as he could. It got down to where he only had 5 boys, but he couldn't get enough adults, which is what killed it, which is sad, because you have to have enough adults to charter. You have to have enough to have a committee, and he couldn't get enough parents. And it finally, after we had one of the oldest troops in the country at that point, and after 90 some years, the troop had folded, which was really sad for all of us. But when that happened, they created for some of the older kids what they used to call explorer posts. And so I was in that. So I was an explorer scout, and we ended up having a blast because we had explorer post is tied to, and they still exist, but they're usually tied to some kind of career. So there were 2 kids that were really interested in nursing. So while they were off doing seminars and things on nursing, the rest of us would go camping, and we would go do more high adventure stuff. Sometime at some point, they split all that and turned it into Explorer Post being just career oriented, and then venturing became the high adventure stuff. And so that's where it went from there. I do remember decking my patrol leader, my senior in the in the Explorer post. So I'm afraid of heights. And they used to have local camporees. They didn't have just one big national camporee. They had that, and it would rotate through 4 different sections of the country, which was great because then all kids could get to it. Now they do have a big national jamboree, and it's only at Bechtel in. Help me out, Doug. Where's Bechtel at? Bechtel Summit? Anyway, somehow they got their hands on the top of a mountain, and that's where all the jamborees are now. But they used to have regional ones, and they used to have camporees, and we used to have them here in Delaware County at a place called Sun Center, and they were pretty cool because they would get different things involved, and they'd actually gotten a reserve unit from the Marines, and they came and they built a climbing tower. And now this is early 80s. And so you could rappel off one side of the tower. Now I'm terrified of heights. So this jerk told me I couldn't advance in rank if I didn't rappel. I did it. I screamed the entire way down. And as soon as my feet hit the ground, I just let myself lower straight out flat on my back. And I look over, and he's over there with his buddy laughing his head off. And his dad's standing next to him, just shaking his head, going, "She's going to kill you." So I walk up and ask him what was so funny. He says, "I lied. You didn't really have to do that." I punched him right in the face. And his dad just stood there and laughed. I told you, she's going to kill you. I didn't get in any trouble either. Oh. Oh yeah, it's great when you can. Hey, Harry, it's great when you can have, the kids do stuff together. I mean, that was the nice part for my son because there's no kids his own age. I think I'm missing a letter. There's no kids his own age in our neighborhood. And so he's kind of alone as far as that goes. And that was kind of a shame. And the schools he was in was a private school for as long as I could afford it. So he just didn't have anybody around us. And all the kids from the scout troop are in another school district, just, about probably about 4 miles away. And so it was nice. I mean, it gave him a chance to have a lot of friends. Not only his own age, some a little younger, a little older. Darn, I am missing one. There's no letter P for this Rolodex. Well, we could fix that because I'll just take the letter Z because I don't see me using that one that often. If I can get this little tab reopened. So, all right, bye, Doug. Yeah, tongue doesn't want to work. Oh, yeah, there's going to be a nap later. There's going to have to be a nap later. There's definitely going to be a nap later. I did try to do some gardening yesterday. That was a challenge. Yeah, packing orders is stuff I got to do today, too. I got all my paperwork done. I've had a bunch of Eagle Scout paperwork to deal with. So now all that's done except for one email. So I can get going on that and get back to getting things packed up and out of here. Because I am backlogged again. I don't like being backlogged. But I am. Part of it's because I just don't have space. I need to get back to that black hole challenge and get a room where everything's just able to be in one room. Even if the packing ends up back up in the 3rd floor once they get the window fixed, because apparently I have another squirrel in. And I'm trouble with raccoons, and now I find out I gotta scroll in the packing room again. Little brats. Honestly, too many critters around here. Way too many critters around here. And we had an encounter last night with Mama. Mama is the mama raccoon that has been in the roof of my kitchen porch for a couple of years now. And uh, one of the feral cats was there thinking that she was going to get some food, but Mama came down out of the porch roof to get food. So there was a little bit of a standoff over who was going to claim the cat food. So that I didn't want to have any fighting. Didn't want there to be any problems. So Rory backed down pretty quick. She usually will beat the crap out of other cats, but boy, she backed down real fast for Mama. She wasn't going. She was smart enough not to want to mess with a raccoon. It's good. Okay, now I got all my little. Come on. I got all my little doohickeys in and had to create one for E and one for P. So I can make little cards up for everybody that has bought from me, which will be good because sometimes it's just, I don't have a spreadsheet. I don't have Excel on this computer, which just makes life interesting when you don't have, I don't have Windows Office. Oh. Oh, Karen, thanks. I'm glad you liked that. That was such a cute little set, that little strawberry shortcake set. You know, I'm glad that found a new home. Because, you know, it's just some stuff around here is just so much of it. So much of it. And this Thursday will not be a sale. It'll be a live chat and probably a work with me because y'all, I'm getting lots of folks over here. I used to have a table. So Thursday's gonna be a work with me. I don't know what the hell happened. Well, I know what happened. Is stuff you unpack and you don't know where it's gonna go, kind of got sat over there. And then across the top are some small boxes that are too small for some of the stuff I needed to pack and ship out. I thought, oh, I could bring a couple small boxes and nope. Oh yeah, I'm still selling. I'm still keeping going on this thing. Keep going and clear this stuff out. I mean, I don't, it's a shame. I should have taken pictures of before, like when I first had everything moved in here, so that then everybody could see what I started with. Because it now, granted, this room hadn't really been touched too much. I worked on other places, but like there's the basement used to be pretty much up to the ceiling. And there yeah, while there's still rooms that I couldn't quite get into, there still was stuff going out, you know, and it's been a long haul. But I spent a lot of time just doing books because they were everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And now and I know because I found a few more that apparently there's still more books down at the other end. Mind you, there's still some here. And plus, I had my own collection of books. So I was so bummed from the last work through. So the last work through I did, I tried taking photos with my phone so that I could list things on eBay from the phone. And most of the pictures, it turned out, were blurry. I was not happy about that. So that was kind of frustrating. I ended up deleting all the pictures because every one of them was blurry. That's no fun. I don't know what this camera is. I just know it's a Samsung because it's kind of like a hand me down, hand me up. What do you call it from your own game? Hand me up. So, um, but I was kind of ticked because we had done like we had looked through and looked up all these books. The pile was up to here of books, and I took photos of and everyone was blurry. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you actually go back to there's a video that shows the basement when we got the heater last year, and cuz we finally got a grant, and then oh man, bless Trisha's heart cuz she started a fundraiser that covered everything the grant didn't, because the grant only covered literally the heater and any pipes that were actually physically attached to the heater. But once they went past a certain point, then they didn't cover any of that. And there were pipes that it turned out were leaking that had to be replaced. And that never would have happened without all the wonderful people who were so sweet and fundraised and gave me such a wonderful gift and paid it forward to me. And then now I got to find ways to pay that forward when I can. I mean, I do what I can. It's one of the reasons I try to promote as many channels as possible to help pay back the kindness. Because the world's a better place when we all do some act of kindness. Um, I got the grant, so I tried going through Lie Heap first while I knew there was a problem before the heater died and got nowhere. So then we're not even Catholic, but around here there's a thing called Catholic Social Services. So got in touch with them, and they started looking, and they have more resources because helping people's all they do is help them find stuff. And they found a state program for the state of Pennsylvania that was attached to LIHEAP, but LIHEAP didn't refer me to it, and they should have, apparently. And so for low income housing, and for and because I had a disabled brother in the house, they were able to put it through as a crisis thing and get an emergency grant. But even that still took 22 days. And that was, I mean, um we went and we had run out of having oil, and then the heater died, and at this point the house got down to where the house got down to 42 degrees inside. It was cold because we'd gone for I think for a week with no heat at all, and it was bad. But there's video about when the heater came and how much we had gotten out of the basement. And so there's a little bit of before and after, but that's still, and we did more work down there, but that's still, now it's down to a little less than half of what it had been even before the heater, because it used to be like up to the rafters. And so, there's still other things that need to get rid of down there. There's a freezer that doesn't work. Now there's actually enough clearance that if I could get somebody to come get it, I will give it to anybody who wants it for scrap if they just show up, if they just get a hold of me and set up a date. I thought twice I was able to get rid of it, and they never showed. And I'm like, no, you can, because the motors are good scrap value, but because there's no way I'm getting that sucker out of the basement on my own. That's for sure. But But yeah, that was rough. And then now, and then of course, that was going through a pandemic too. But my life is never boring. I wish it was. Some days I really wish it was. This morning's kind of nice. I don't have any bird seed left, but I could hear the birds. I didn't see any of them because the bird feeder's empty. But I made sure there was water in the bird bath because the robins have come back. And any day now, the nuthatches will disappear. They'll go back north. I don't usually see them all year long. I saw a cardinal and a blue jay in the last couple days. Because that's when I get too stressed. I like to just be able to go sit and watch birds at the bird feeder. And I have the bird feeder not too far away from the house, but it's where the doctor can lay in her little tower and watch. It keeps her entertained because she can watch the bird feeder from the window. And that helps keep her entertained. She's been having a rough time ever since last year when we had to put Gandalf down. She's not doing well being an only cat, but boy, man, she won't let female cats in the house. We thought we were doing all right with Morgan, but then once they finally were allowed to see each other, she beat Morgan up so badly. Morgan ran out the door the first chance she got. She hasn't come back. She won't come back in the house. And now Morgan's pregnant. The way that kitten's growing, she's pregnant. She's not even a year old yet. So there's gonna be kittens in our future. But male cats, my doctor doesn't have that same problem. Male cats. She seems to be fine with them. She's a little twerp. She's a fat twerp too. She's gained a lot of weight since Gandalf has passed. Because they used to chase each other in the house. But they wouldn't fight like that. But they would chase each other. So, yeah, I noticed that. The robins here are pretty fat too. Sometimes they come back and they're kind of skinny in the spring, but I picked a couple of daffodils today, and apparently there's a piece of a forsythia bush that I hadn't ripped out. So I pulled some pieces off of that too. I have to be careful. Shouldn't actually walk over there. That's where the big magnolia tree had been, and all the roots have rotted now. So if you hit the wrong spot where a big root had been, you sink. And for me, that's dangerous. We don't want me falling again. Don't want any problems having that one pinch nerve come back. Hello. Yes, I'm live. Since I'm awake, it's the ungodly hour.
No, ungodly hour is more about about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's when I'm going to bed. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Between 4 and 5. That's the time I used to.
Well, yeah.
Get my work.
For me, though, that's kind of an ungodly hour. Oh, is that it? Somebody's got to get up to kick the rooster to wake everybody else? Okay. I'll agree with that. So, all right. You off to church? All right. We'll see you later. Oh, my.
20-year-old twins, is that the same as 20-year-old?
Go away. I don't want to have to explain that joke. I'm live, Oh. Go away, Gary. It's telling me jokes that are making me groan. Just no. No. Just no. Oh my goodness. At least this time he didn't say anything that I'd have to worry about YouTube kicking me off. Because, sometimes his jokes are a little off color or a lot off color. Gary's judgment, that's why Gary lives with me. Gary's judgment skills are not where you would think they'd be for somebody who's 60. But, he can't help it. He put himself through the windshield of his truck when I was still in my teens. I don't think he was any older than 20 when that happened. So, yeah. Gary's half the reason why I was given the house. Because nobody else wanted Gary to live with him. Oh. So who has plans for today? I figured I'd pop on for an hour and then I think by now there's probably live sales and stuff going on. So now I'm looking for a grant for help with getting a new roof because I've got to get the roof done. It's leaking now worse than it ever has. It leaked on, anybody saw my Instagram saw the photo where it leaked into my first floor. That's a problem. And there's a raccoon getting in and out of the roof who's now in the attic. It's getting into the crawl space next to the attic. So it has access to the attic and it's ripping boxes apart, which means it's a female and building a nest. I really don't want little kids. Good morning, happy days. Yeah, I know. It's a rare sighting of Nancy in the morning. Yeah. No makeup either. I feel, I hadn't planned on going live or I'd have put my eyebrows on because look, I don't look like I have any. The problem when you have red hair is like these are pretty faint. Some of them on this side are platinum blonde, so they completely disappear under bright light. The same thing with my eyelashes. Some of the lashes are platinum blonde. So you don't like raccoons? I don't mind raccoons. I just don't want them living in my house. I don't mind them. I don't mind possums. I'm trying to think, was there any wild animal that we've had in our yard that bothered me? Not really. We're near enough woods that the raccoons aren't a super big problem. But I just wish I could figure out where the hell is that one getting in on the third floor roof. But I'm not physically able to crawl out there because I can't kneel on the one knee without it aggravating the pinched nerve that causes the pain. Oh, okay. Yeah, possums are good. They do eat the bugs. They eat a lot of the ticks. Now, I saw a thing that said that they didn't eat the fleas or the flea eggs. But I thought they did, so I'm going to have to look into that. But they do eat the ticks that cause Lyme disease. So I am more than happy to leave Mama Possum alone. She has a new place. Usually she hides on my wood porch out here because there's some bits of wood furniture and stuff, and she usually hides in the corner. But she's now in the groundhog den, which is underneath the neighbor's shed because we didn't have the groundhog didn't come back in the fall. So she's over. I saw her coming out from under the shed. So she's in there, which is fine as long as she found somewhere safe to be. I don't mind her being around. The feral cat problem, though, it's out of hand. So I got to try again to get a cat rescue around here because I'm now feeding. I can't afford to keep feeding them. I have enough trouble. I mean, I was trying to rehome Shadow. Shadow's been gone for a couple of weeks now, which is sad because Shadow was to the point where he was coming in at night, sleeping in the playroom. He and the doctor were seeing each other through the screen. She didn't mind him. She didn't hiss at him. So it looked good. Like we were gonna be able to, rehome him in here like we had done Big Daddy before him and Gandalf, who was after Big Daddy. Um, so I have no problem bringing a male in if we can get the male socialized enough to be in the house. But he's just vanished. And I don't think that's good. I am only 2 blocks away from a super busy street that people like to drive too fast on. And sadly, you often see cats on that street that have been unalived by a car. But now there's Morgan who's expecting because she's getting wider across that belly. We have Rory who desperately wants to come inside and be a house cat, but that's the doctor's sister and the doctor hates her. So I can't have Rory in here. So, but she's a good candidate to be to be re-socialized. Morgan is too, but not with the doctor. Um, but there's one that's the same age as Morgan, who's this skinny little black one that's all black, who's terrified of people. So that one needs to get caught. That one's a male. And then there is a white male that disappeared for a little bit, came back with a clipped ear. So somebody got him fixed. But I haven't seen the red tabby lately. That's another male. There's another tuxedo cat that's a short-haired tuxedo. That one's another male. And if they at least could get these males fixed, we'd have far less kittens. And there's a new kitten that's shown up that's gray, like Shadow was, with white feet. And that one's terrified of people too. Soon as I go out, it just books out of the yard and runs away. And they've all figured out that I have food that I'll put out for Rory and for Morgan. And so they show up to get some of the food. So it's getting to be a bit much. It's a bit much. So that and the fact that now, until I can figure out what I can do, is this is now reselling is now my full-time job. And I was not ready. I should have done more research before I started doing that because I realized my house is not set up to be conducive to keep it organized and moving. And then my health for the last year has completely trashed it too. So, but that's what the black hole challenge is. We are back to that. Um, we will be working together and it, working on all our black hole challenges. Mine is to create an office space. I know a couple people have had smaller black hole challenges where they picked a closet that they were going to completely empty and go through and sort out, or some area where they had a pile of stuff they've been ignoring and just needed to deal with it because a lot of stuff is just deferred decisions. There's a lot of times you have something you don't want to deal with it, you set it aside and then you forget because you're on to other things, and it's just you've deferred that. So yeah, I don't know that we're going to see too many dances around here. In Boy Scouts we have the Order of the Arrow, which still uses had permission from the tribes too to use the Lenni Lenape language. Now, I'm probably saying it's it's Lenape. I think it's Lenape. I don't know how to pronounce it for the correct way, but they had permission to use the language, to use the clothing, and to use some of the dances. And now, with all this cultural appropriation talk, there is a big push to strip all of that out of Order of the Arrow, which is sad because we actually had permission from the tribes. Also, it's the one place where their native language is still spoken, because there's a lot of the within that are of the Native American Lenni Lenape descendants who don't speak the language. And it was the one place where it was being honored. And if the tribe says it's okay, then what's the problem? They want their heritage to continue. So now we don't have anything around here where there is the dancing, because there's no powwows that I know of that are in this area of Pennsylvania. Yeah, I know a friend of mine. He's made wampum bean belts for them, and knows some of the elders, so he's trying to. But the problem is that it's the national organization within Boy Scouts that has made these decisions. And they made the decisions, I think, without actually talking to the tribe itself. Which is That's the thing. If you're going to make these unilateral decisions about cultural appropriation and that we shouldn't do that, don't you think you should be talking to the culture itself that it came from and see what they think? Because it may be a thing like this where it was done in agreement with them as to honor all the ceremonies. It's all explained whenever you do one about where it comes from and what you're honoring, and that it is the fact that you're all stewards of the land. And and you my I can't even pronounce my father's name. When you got to Vigil Honors, you were actually given a Lenape name and what it would mean. And my father's actually was Night Owl, but it was in the Lenape language. And so it's all in it's all hand in hand with the tribe that started it, that it was their language, it was their dances, and it was their ceremonies that they gifted to Treasure Island and to the Order of the Arrow for use, to because they did it in a way that honored where it came from, and also was a way then to teach people about where it came from. So, yeah, how do you learn anything if we don't all share? And I mean, if you really want to talk about cultural appropriation, can we talk about language? Can we talk about the English language? Do you know how many chunks of other countries is in the English language? I mean, you can't learn anything if it's you're going to be cultural appropriation. It's one thing if you are dishonoring it. I get that if you're doing something to it that dishonors it, but are you going to I mean, we've had this argument among some of the college kids that have come back, and it's apparently this is discussed a lot at college level with the kids debating it. And it's a question of how far do you take it? Yes, there are things where you're taking it and you're twisting it in some way, but when you're doing it in honor of, isn't it better then that it gets taught, that you can each learn about it? So, I have the fun of the fact that I'm half German. You know how hard it was when you get taught in fifth grade, you get taught about World War II, and everybody thinks of Germans, and the first thing, what is the first thing they think of? Nazis. And my last name is Kraus, and if you change one letter, you get Kraut. I got beat up for that. So, appropriation can be a two-way street where, yeah, there are times where there may be something where within your own history, some part of it got hijacked by a small group and and made it a bad thing. But There's so much German stuff within our culture that it's it's just considered standard now. A Christmas tree that first came in being because Prince Albert brought one into Queen Victoria and his household for their kids. You know, he was from Germany. He brought that in. That was a German tradition that was from other areas of that part of the world. And now we take it for granted. But we all learned about something pretty cool. So it is a challenging description. The description discussion. But I don't think it's a discussion worth having if you don't have people there that are from the actual culture that it's from. They have to be at the table for that discussion. And that's one thing that's hard. And appropriation is not something, I mean, just the act of sharing your culture with somebody. And then you teach them a recipe of how to make something, and then they go cook it for somebody else. How do you call that appropriation? It's sharing. You shared it. So when it's something freely shared, that's how you learn from one another. If we take that away, we're all just going to be these little tiny bubbles of isolation, and that does not do well. We're seeing too much isolation, and if you disagree with me, then we can't be friends. Well, we don't need that kind of isolation. We need that sharing. We need those open discussions. We used to be a world that could do that without totally freaking out. We're losing that ability, and I don't think that's a good thing for any of us. Oh, wow. Yes, there's a lot about Japan and the war you won't learn about in school. I have an aunt who's Japanese. She's from Hiroshima, not Hiroshima. That's not how it's pronounced. It's Hiroshima. And it was market day. They don't tell you that in the books either. It was market day, and they dropped it in the center of the town on civilians. Yeah, they're not telling you that in the history books. There's a lot. Um, my great uncle George, he wasn't that much older than my mother. I think he was 10 years old when my mother was born in 1929. And one of the best things he ever taught me was that if you want to learn history, find firsthand accounts, because then you'll get a better overview of what history really is, because the textbooks in schools are so watered down that they just give you these big generalizations which don't really give you the real depth of the history. Get firsthand accounts. And I learned an awful lot from Aunt Michiko. She's in her 90s. She's 90 now. But they're down in Texas now. I miss them. I don't get to see them often. I don't get to see them at all now that they've been down there. Um, but yeah, I did learn some from her. And yours, your mom's family's from Germany back in the 1600s. We have one branch of the family tree. I put my family tree on familysearch.org. Yes, that's the Church of the Latter-day Saints free ancestry website. But you can connect with other people, and somebody had one branch of the family, the Riedler branch, tracked all the way back to the 1600s in Switzerland, which is just the other side of the mountain from all the German. Because um, the Trout family was probably Traub, Traub, but in German that would sound like trout because it's a hard kind of B. And so when they got here, the name switched. Now, also because I can't read German, I can't get too far back. But they came over in the early 1800s. The Kraus family came over about the same time. Um, I'm not sure where the Kraus family came from because Kraus is like the equivalent of Smith in Germany. So that one's a problem. But the Trouts, um, they were from the Tyrol area. So they were up in the mountains from the area that they're from. That's my mother's family. And then my dad's mother's family, I have a book that goes back to 1683. They came over from England on the ship the Charming Betty, John Long and his wife. So we've been here a long time. Good morning, Steph. Good morning. I love doing genealogy. I teach it as a merit badge for Boy Scouts. So I have fun doing that. And I have to decide what's going to happen with a lot of family photos and stuff. Like those big pictures that were in that little short saying that I was going to be live Thursday, and I showed Amos and Alice in the hallway, and that's Amos Trout. He fought in the Civil War. He's my great great grandfather, and his wife Alice was Alice Logue, and her parents came from County Limerick, Ireland. I don't know the town though, just the county. And my son doesn't want those pictures. I mean, technically, Mike's a nephew, and he's the last of the Kraus family line, but he didn't grow up knowing any of the older of that family because they were all dead by the time he came along. So he didn't know any of them. So he doesn't feel he has a connection to them. So he doesn't want to keep those pictures when I'm gone. So I need to find some cousins in the Trout family and the picture should be with them because they are the Trouts. They at least carry the family name. So I need to find some of March Trout's kids. And my mom knew where she used to keep in contact with her cousins, but now they've all passed away, and I don't know any of their kids. So I need to try harder to track them down. Not all of my family's from now. All of the Trout stuff is all from Pennsylvania. Um, a lot of the Kraus stuff is too, but they were up in northern Pennsylvania. A lot of the Trout stuff is out in Lehigh County. So they're all Pennsylvania from the whole time they were here. They didn't go very far. Now, my grandfather, my mom's father, the Yost family, he was out. His family was from out in Pittsburgh. His grandfather was actually a um, federal judge out in Pittsburgh. So I don't know too much of the Yost family. I haven't done too much there. I have a Canadian connection, but nobody was born there. So Robert Logue, I found up at the Philadelphia Historical Society. I actually found him that he used to work um, up in Philadelphia, and he used to go back and forth to Ireland. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. And then I found him again on ship's manifests where he had to come in through Nova Scotia because he couldn't bring his Irish wife in through Philadelphia. They were no longer letting any Irish in at that point. So he had to come in through Nova Scotia in Canada. And then they settled in Vermont, which is where Alice, the picture in the hallway, that's where she was born, was in Vermont. And then somehow they ended up down here in Philly. Dakota, Nakota, and Cree. Oh, cool. Very cool. I would think sometimes that being Native American might be difficult to track your family tree. Because sadly, I know if you get so far back, the record, there's no written record. You'd have to rely on oral. And if anybody actually has remembered a lot of that, not every tribe had written records. And then, of course, you had the fact that our government was idiots when it came to the tribes. Sad to say. Ah, so, well, I've been on for an hour and my laptop is beginning to run out of juice. And my tea is getting cold and almost gone. That's good. Get as much track now as you can. So, yeah, they took census, but they also did a lot of. Don't get me started on our history of not following the treaties they create. Our country does not have a good track record. There's something to be said for that show, The Newsroom. We've all probably seen the meme where he says, "No, the US is not the greatest country in the world." And then he gives all the reasons why. And just on our lack of following our own treaties alone. So, yeah, they took the kids away and then told them they couldn't learn their own language. They couldn't speak it anymore. I think that's appalling, taking kids away like that. And now you've got somebody else doing it. You've got the state of Florida and Texas wanting to take kids away that are trans. So yeah, yeah, it's not right. Definitely not right. That's just appalling to me. But unfortunately, no offense to any white guys here, but white guys with power seem to cause a hell of a lot of problems. Don't you think it's time to let the women take over for a while? Seriously. I mean, I know individually, I know some great guys, but it just seems like when white men of a certain age group are in power, all hell breaks loose. Just doesn't seem to end well. I think it's time. I think it's time for some younger people and the women to take over. After all, the US was started by a bunch of guys in their 20s. Washington was an elder statesman, Franklin was an elder statesman, but a lot of those guys were under the age of 30 that started our country. Maybe it's time we take a lesson from that. Yeah. Good morning, Stitch It. I take it you sew or embroider with a name like that. That's right. If it has tires or testicles, it's going to give you trouble. I used to have that as a plaque on the wall. I sold that. Oh, it's a good thing Doug left. He'd probably feel like we're man bashing. I don't mean to be. There's a lot of great guys out there, but there's also a lot of guys that when they get power, when they get political power, especially, they just lose their friggin' minds. Hello, Jennifer. Jennifer, the Wonder Woman of putting links in chats, man. You are amazing with your talent for that. I don't know how you keep up. So, yeah, Jennifer Hayes here. For those of you who have not come across her in a chat before, she seriously has a talent for being able to keep up with the chat and get people's links to their channels in there, and is awesome at it. A Walmart distribution center burnt down? Oh, that would be bad. That'd be a lot of merchandise. Could be worse. Could be an Amazon distribution center or a mail one. You know, U.S. Postal Service losing all that stuff. So, uh, oh, and NASA put something out this morning. An asteroid hit the Earth just 2 hours after they first spotted it, and apparently it was the size of a refrigerator. Yeah, lovely. We really can't track this very well. Um, let's see, just general news. I'm looking for the thing for the Walmart, but Turkey builds a bridge. Oh, seriously? Now what? Proposed House bill on educating the public on Japanese American incarceration during World War II. Oh, honestly, let the teachers teach and get the hell out of it. I'm not finding anything on that Walmart, but this isn't going to show all the news that's coming up. Ugh, getting tired of seeing stuff in the news feed about Russia. All right, well, somewhere there's a Walmart that burned. Oh, Steph, I don't mind. I do not mind at all. Now, during a live sale, that's a different thing. It's harder to drop links, but during a chat, by all means, drop links. I do not mind. Do not mind. Good morning, Maryland. And Val is here, and CDC Vintage. So, yeah, I mean, it was just so odd that I was up so early and like wide awake. I've had 3 hours sleep. I don't know why. And then my son had come home from work. He's like, "Well, I'm going to turn the hot water on. So you want to get a shower?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I better." And because that's another thing. It has a leak, and so we have to keep the hot water turned off at the basement. Because for some stupid reason, they built an access door to get to the pipes that are behind the shower and the tub in the only bathroom with a shower in it in this old house. But there's no shut off valves there. So you actually have to shut off the hot water in the basement. So, and I'm too short to reach it. So he come home from work this morning and at 6:30 in the morning he said, "Oh, you're up. Okay. You want to get showers now?" Well, okay. So so I'm up. Oh, in Indiana, that's where the Walmart. I hope nobody got hurt. Stuff can be replaced most of the time, but people can't. People can't get replaced. I had my Easter sale and I completely forgot that I had this beautiful little. I forgot I had it behind me. So I'll put it in the next time I have a sale. I would think this is kind of lumpy to lay on, but because these are pretty solid little dots in the center, but it's beautiful. If I had a couch, this would be so nice to have just like thrown over the back of the couch at Easter time, but I don't have a couch. There's no couch hiding under this. That's why this room became the warehouse, because there's a armchair over there. That's it. That's the only living room furniture that was in here. That was it. So yeah, it's a pretty little thing, and it's not big. It was probably meant to be for a baby, but it's big enough that it could be a lap quilt, a throw for over your lap, or just be a decorative one this way across the back of the couch. Yeah, a lot of work had to go into making all those little flowers. You see what the oh, I think it's too bright. There we go. You can see the little pom-pom. This is solid, like a solid nub. And then there's these little pieces around. So it makes a neat looking little flower. Yeah, I'm trying to get it. There we go. So they all look like little flowers. So they're pretty cool looking. Oh yeah, definitely for a baby, but it's such nice spring Eastery colors. And I had completely forgotten that it was behind me. But we went through a ton of stuff at that last sale. I mean, I had filled the page in my book. So, I filled this page. Each line is a different thing. And I think I only had 3, 4 things. 1, 2, 3. Out of all of that, I only had 3 things that didn't sell. So that's always a good thing. But so yeah, I'll put it on the next. Now the next sale's not going to be, because we talked about this. There was a reason I did a sale last week and then one just this past Thursday. It was because I needed to adjust. If I'm going to do sales every other, then I needed to adjust what nights the sales were on, so that when I get to Boy Scout summer camp in July, that way that would be the week that was a live, but not necessarily a sale. Because if I can go live at summer camp, I might just to say hi. But I don't know, because it always depends on the Wi-Fi. Some camps turn their Wi-Fi off at 10 o'clock at night. And sometimes you're at a camp where the signal for your phone is not good or non-existent. So it all depends on what I can do the last week of July. So I wanted to make sure that was not a week that would end up being a sale week. So that's why I made sure that. Anyway, it was also the first night back at 11 o'clock. So I thought it'd be good to have a sale that night. I'm so happy to be back to night owls. I am just more with it usually. So do I get paid for Boy Scouts? No, I don't. I get paid in the fact that I get to harass teenagers, and I love it. But it also, I used to do a lot of community theater. And then I started doing a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan community theater because at one point between Wilmington, Delaware and Philadelphia, there were 5 Gilbert and Sullivan groups in the area, as well as several community theaters that would occasionally do a Gilbert and Sullivan. I did get paid for directing at a couple of those places. But with Boy Scouts, no, it's all volunteer. I don't get paid. I look at it this way is that they pay me by taking me to summer camp. That's my 1 week. That is my biggest stress relief for the year is being able to go to summer camp. I can spend the mornings just reading. I can usually, go shoot. I can archery or I can rifle shoot. One of these days I'll shotgun shoot. Never done that. I don't have to cook. I hate cooking. I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean. I can sleep out. It's the usually decent sleep for me. I'm sleeping outside. You're hearing all the nice birds or the lake, and it's all that fresh air, and I just love it. And it detoxes me in so many mental ways that it just keeps me usually going through the whole winter. So, um, Boy Scouts does take up some of my time because we at one point had over 50 kids. And so I am assistant scoutmaster in charge of advancement. Now, there is an advancement chair on the committee. And usually the scoutmaster, the main scoutmaster, oversees advancement of the boys. But with that many, they can't. They just can't keep up with it. So, because there's so much else that the lead scoutmaster has to do. So as assistant scoutmaster, I oversee that. And it's a joke among the kids that the first 2 years they're there, I may not know their name because they don't tend to work with me until they're starting to work on merit badges, and the higher ranks are all tied to merit badges. So a kid could be there for 2 years, and because I don't work with them, I don't see them and I don't learn their name, and I'm really crappy with names anyway. So they think it's funny and tease me about it. I do have something coming up that's going to take a long while, though, is that we used to have notebooks, binders that had sheets in it that I could keep all the records in. And then you would also have it in the software. And then we had a software which was called Troop Master, which I thought was great. The setup was wonderful. But the official scouting program decided to create their own called Scout Book, and now we have to use that. And it's still got a lot of kinks to work out. It's not as user friendly as the other one had been, but we're not being given a choice. You have to really use the other one. So it's now to the point where I need to go back to using and creating those books that have the sheets for each rank for each kid. Just because it'd be easier than trying to use Scout Book. This way I have a patrol, I can look at the entire patrol, or I can just, I cross reference it so I can look it up all by the individual kids. But the other, you have to actually know the patrol they're in, and ours hasn't even been updated, so the patrol names aren't right. There's some issues there, but that's going to take me some time to set up. After the pandemic and the lockdown, though, we lost a lot of older kids. So I think we're down to 38 now, maybe 35 kids. And we're about to get crossover is now when they cross over from Cub Scouts. So we're about to get, I think, 12, 11-year-olds coming in. So we'll be picking, and we're getting very bottom heavy, which is not a good thing. You need your older scouts to help run things. And we lost quite a few during the pandemic. It just, was hard to keep them. And another problem is a lot of them, once they get eagle, they don't always stick around. That's a whole other problem. So we'll see what happens. But I do need to get that set up, and that's going to take a chunk of time. That if I just focus on that, it's probably going to take me an entire day. But then once it's done, and I can just update it as I go along. Having to start from scratch is what's going to take the time. And I miss camping. I've been camping since I hurt myself last May. I haven't been able to go camping except for summer camping. I had to take epidural shots in my spine to be able to go. And it was more for my mental state than anything else. And I couldn't do hardly squat except sit and read. And then in the afternoon is story time when the kids always want to come talk to me. So that's I'm looking forward to summer camp though. I am even if I can't go camping in a regular tent because I can't kneel. It still causes problems with the pinched nerves in the spine. So I can't kneel, I can't crawl into a regular tent, which means I can't go camping at all for now, unless they do cabin, which we don't tend to do. But at summer camp, you're not kneeling on the floor. Your tent is a big army surplus tent and you're on a cot, sometimes on a metal bed frame, which is even better for me anyway. So I can do that. I can't crawl into a 2-man tent, sleep on the ground, which makes me want to cry. But it is what it is. This is my new normal and I'm not happy. So it'd be different if I could get a big enough tent. Some of these tents are huge, but the big problem, the bigger the tent, the colder it is when you sleep in it by yourself. Oh yeah, I grew up in a Boy Scout troop. Some of my best memories are tagging along with my older brothers. I was troop mascot as a wee little kid. Mom was doing Cub Scouts, Dad was Scoutmaster. Why get a babysitter? Just take her to meetings with you. So I grew up with 4 brothers and about 30 pseudo brothers that were from the Boy Scout troop. So yeah, troop 184 of Chester. So yeah, some of my best memories have been with scouts from the time I was old enough to walk. Apparently I was on scout property when I was only a couple months old. Somebody forgot a sleeping bag, so Delmont wasn't that far away. It's only like a 45-minute drive. So Mom, took some extra sleeping bags up or something else they forgot and stayed for lunch and then drove back. And so I was only, I think, 3 months old first time I was on scout property. so so it's been fun. Yeah, stitch it. I fell last May in my own yard and I twisted in such a weird way that my left foot was up this on a edge of a platform, but the rest of me kept going this way. So I twisted and I landed on the hip bone in such a way that I actually ripped that slightly out of joint, but it pinched a nerve in like the 5th vertebrae. So it's below the small of my back. It's a very hard spot to get to stretch out. Traction therapy has caused some hernias, which we had confirmed on Tuesday. So now I got to deal with getting them fixed before, and I got to call on Monday and get more trigger point shots to my back because the other ones have worn off, and I'm moving a lot more because spring is here, and the neighbor's going to let me use some of his spot for a garden, which I was over there yesterday and found out that it's got tree roots all through it. That's going to be a challenge. But yeah, bending over is an issue. But kneeling just sends a shooting pain up from the knee right on up to the bad pinched nerve that caused all the screaming. I'm not joking about that. There was lots of screaming going on. But it took 6 months of traction therapy for that sucker let loose. So, but if I move the wrong way or do the wrong thing, you can tell it's just one wrong movement away from being back to that. So no tent camping. That sucks. Really sucks. They're going places I would love to go this year. Can't do it. I don't know. Maybe if it gets warmer weather, we could figure out a way to just like hook up mosquito netting in a lean-to and just put a cot in there. But I don't have a cot, so we'll figure something out. I'll find a way somehow. Eventually, I got other things on my plate first. So it's been an hour and a half, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna finish my cold tea now. There's only like an inch left in the cup. And I'm gonna start packing because I have got a couple of pages of stuff to pack up and start invoicing and get stuff ready so that hopefully then if things get done and out of here, because I'm got too much stuff and now I'm running out of room. I have to get it all upstairs, so I end up putting it in a box and then having to take a box upstairs. But I only have this little card table right now, and it's just not enough space, and it's hard to shift around. So, and you might have stuff for one person in this box and this box and this box, and it's so slow. So slow having to hunt for the stuff to get it packed for one person. And so I made a list so that way I have everything from every sale that I owe to that person all underneath their address, so I can hopefully get this together, get the backlog taken care of. Happy days, I have not forgotten you. I just have to figure out what I did with the gloves. Got everything else, don't have the gloves. I haven't found what box they're in. And then you'll get your invoice. So you guys have a good day, and I hope you had fun. If any of you are new and haven't subscribed, by all means, I'd love to have you come on this journey with me. If you don't know my channel, there is a video there about how I got an overstuffed house. It explains how I ended up with all this stuff. And the Black Hole Challenge, anybody can join the Black Hole Challenge. It's all about encouraging each other to deal with those deferred decisions, deal with that little pile of stuff that we never wanted to deal with. And did I already send you a pair of gloves? I didn't think I had done you yet. You know, that's the problem. You get too many backlog. You think you haven't done something, and you already did. Yeah, but there was another pair of gloves, a sewing basket, the crocheted slippers, the fairy with the candle you just brought, and a book, 88 Bright Ideas. See, I got your name right here. Because this is the other, you had bought one pair of gloves and I got them to you, but there was another pair. And wherever they are they were from October 20th. But I know they're with the sewing basket because I put them in the sewing basket. So they're with the sewing basket. And I don't know where I sat the sewing basket. That's the problem. It's like I had already put them together and I put them with the sewing basket. And then other stuff happened. And so I know the sewing basket is in one of those boxes of stuff that's got to go, get packed and go. So they're in the sewing basket. So I'll find it. I'll find it. Get you together. All right, guys. Have a good day. Have what's today's Sunday, right? So the last day of the weekend. And if you have anything you could do this week, if you've only got an hour to spend working on something that's just been you've been avoiding and it's just been sitting there and you need to get it done, set yourself a timer. You don't have to do it all in one go. Just set yourself a timer. If you've got 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Do it. Just spend no more than an hour. Because then you need a break. Otherwise, you just frustrate yourself. So work on that black hole challenge today. Just give yourself a few minutes to or even just make a list of what your goals are for next month that you want to work on, that you can break down in little chunks. All right. So have a great day. Bye, everybody.